Welcome to Rooted and Rising Healing. I'm your host, Hali, and this space is for women rebuilding after betrayal. Here we make sense of what happened, find truth again, and reconnect with who you really are beyond the pain. Whether you're staying, leaving, or still in the middle, your story matters. Together, we'll explore truth, clarity, and the quiet courage it takes to rise from the wreckage of what was into the wholeness of who you're becoming. You're safe to be here, in the messy middle, in the rebuilding, and in the rising. Let's begin. If you're a mom or a daughter and you've ever felt that quiet desire for deeper connection between you, but you don't want it to feel forced or uncomfortable, I want to invite you into something really special. It's called Becoming Together, a mother-daughter retreat in Sedona, Arizona, happening September 8th through the 12th, that I'm hosting alongside my own daughters. This experience is really close to our hearts because we understand that every mother-daughter relationship is unique and it's not always perfect. And this isn't about fixing anything. It's about creating a space to soften, to breathe, and to connect in your own way. Over a few beautiful days in Sedona, we'll guide you through experiences like breathwork, sound baths, mindful movement, even a vortex hike, and of course, nourishing meals. Each of us bringing our own gifts to support you, while also honoring your individual journey. There's no pressure to open up before you're ready, no expectation to be anything other than yourself, just a safe, supportive space to reconnect with yourself, with each other, and with something greater. If you feel even the smallest pull, you can find more information in the show notes, because you don't have to have a perfect relationship to begin becoming together. Hi, this is Hali, and welcome to the Choosing Different mini-series of conversations between me and my two adult daughters, who were both teens when our family was in the thick of the impacts of betrayal and the dysfunction that comes along with that. There have been things happen that could have easily pulled our family apart for good, and we've been trying to do the slow, unglamorous work of healing, learning about each other again, trying to break some of the generational patterns that we grew up with, and build something more honest in their place. And I want to be clear that we don't have this all figured out. We're still healing, still evolving, still getting it wrong sometimes and repairing after. But what we do have are conversations that have helped us along the way. And we wanted to open a few of them up in case they help open a door in your own family too. And this is one of those conversations. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to welcome you today to the first episode in a little bonus mini-series where I'm having some important conversations with my daughters, Matea and Morgan. So Matea and Morgan, welcome.
Hi.
We are going to be talking about important topics that come up in families after there's been betrayal, talking about healing, relationships today, stepping out of generational patterns. And so today what we're going to talk about is some conversations that we wish every parent and child could have. And so one of the things that as I've been a mom now, Matea's almost 30, so I've been a mom for almost 30 years now. I'm definitely not the same mom today that I was 30 years ago. And I've learned a lot. And man, I would be a totally different mom if I went back to parenting little ones with the knowledge and information and the growth that I have today. So our relationships change as our kids get older and especially as they become adults. And we no longer just parent in a child type of way, but we're now two adults learning how to love each other in a different season. So girls, thanks for agreeing to come on and talk to me about these important conversations. So glad to have you here with me again.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Ask you both to just answer this. How would you say that our relationship feels now compared to when maybe you were a teenager? Morgan, do you want to start with that answer?
Oh, sure. I remember as a teenager, not for whatever reason, not feeling comfortable coming and talking to you about feelings or emotions or boys or drama or, whatever was prevalent in my life at the time. And that, I mean, who knows what that was, whether that was you not having the skills or me just being emotionally immature and, not really knowing how to navigate that. But I remember this sense of like, I have to keep that to myself and my mom can't know that I'm crying in my bedroom or I, have to go to my friends to talk about things that are important or emotional. And that's definitely shifted as I've gotten older and as I've become more mature and, you done your own healing and we've done a lot of work together. I feel like I definitely can come to you and I do. And it's still hard and uncomfortable at times because we're both still like learning and figuring it out. But I now know that like I can come to you with the important things and the emotional things. And I feel like that, I mean, there's a lot of things that are different, but I would say that's one of the biggest differences now that we're adults and we both have a deeper level of like emotional maturity.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that to an extent. I feel like when you're a teenager or like a kid, obviously you know way more than your parents do. So why would I go to them to ask for something? And now that I am a parent, I wish my children knew what I know now, that, hey, maybe my mom has gone through something like this and she actually can help me instead of just telling me what to do. You're no longer telling me what to do. You're helping me, like guiding me through stuff that you may or may not have gone through, but you have more experience in the world than I have. But also, I feel like in high school and growing up, I was too cool for you. Like, I didn't want to hang out with you. I'd rather be with my friends and do whatever. But now I get jealous when my mom doesn't invite me to go to the river or go hiking with her. Like, I want to hang out with my mom, and she's been in Costa Rica for a month, and I'm ready for her to be home. Like, I didn't used to want to hang out with my mom, and now I do.
Yeah. And I think you both kind of hit on some important things of the reasons why those were. I mean, I think there's a combination that I didn't have that ability. I didn't have those skills. I didn't have that, that experience in my own life. And so I wasn't able to, I didn't know how to step into those difficult conversations. And then you were teenagers. And so for all the reasons, like, really want me to be there for you in those ways. But I also didn't know how to provide that space for you to be able to feel safe coming to me. And I hope that as we've grown and as I've done more of my healing work, I feel like we're in a much better place where we can talk about those things. And I think that leads us into a couple of the other areas of conversations that I wish every parent and child could have. And that is moving into like the marriage and relational challenges. And I'm not saying that you should share everything with me in your relationships. That's not what I'm saying. I think there are certain things relational that should stay sacred between a husband and a wife. And I also want you all to know that I can be a safe place, especially having navigated some of the challenges that we have in our marriage through this whole betrayal journey. That I I have learned a few things about relationships and things that work and that don't work, and I have had to do so much work that I wish I would have known when I was in the first few years of my own relationship. So I think that's a kind of a touchy area where there needs to be some healthy boundaries around it. And also, I can be a safe space to the level that you need me to without, and I think an important thing for me that I've tried to convey to you is that it doesn't matter what you share with me in your relationships, that I'm still going to love your spouse as well. I'm still going to love your spouse. I have a totally different perspective on people that struggle with different challenges because of the work that I do now. And I don't look at people that struggle with relational challenges or unhealthy behaviors as bad people. I look at them as someone who's still learning and growing in their own journey of life and understanding. And so that's been one thing I've tried to convey. But I don't know, what would you two say about that, like relationship and marriage challenges?
I was basically out of the house, but like watching you and dad go through life and through challenges and through the ups and downs. And like you moved, and my husband's in the middle of a big career change. And my mom was one of the first people I wanted to talk about because, like, we might be moving away. And one, I don't really want to move away from my family, my parents, my sister, but like just having someone to talk to. uh, Besides my husband who, like, is in it all the things, maybe get a different perspective is nice. I haven't had any crazy things I like with my husband, like, I need to talk to my mom about, but it is nice to just be like, "Freaking Zach went golfing again today," like, stupid things like that I can talk to my mom about, or she's just there when he's out of town, or something like that.
Yeah. I think something too, like I remember thinking about, dating in high school, and it was always like so awkward, and I didn't want my mom to know, and I didn't want to get in trouble, and it's like kind of awkward boundaries. But now that I'm an adult and I'm like, I'm married and this isn't a boyfriend, he's not going anywhere. It's real life challenges and conversations and things. I feel more safe coming to you because I know that, oh my gosh, you're not going to get in trouble for staying out late with your boyfriend. Because I'm like, I'm married to the guy. So I think there's that level too of just the relationship has changed. I also think you having done your own work to be boundaried and how you show up to those conversations with both of us, mom, I think that's huge because I know I worked with clients or friends or whoever, and they wouldn't be safe to go and have those types of conversations with their mom because their mom hasn't also done the work to be boundaried and to show up and have respect. And, it can be a thing where like mom is overstepping boundaries and mom is too involved in the relationship. And so I think it goes both ways of like you being able to be a safe place for us, but also knowing how to navigate like, oh, hey, when my daughter brings this challenge to me and this frustration or this advice or, whatever, you know how to show up safely, which, as a mom listening to this, that's something that your daughter or your child needs from you is safety and boundaries, especially when it comes to their relationships.
Well, and I feel like with the boundaries also, like mom obviously has good boundaries on like not sharing what we share with her, but also accepting our boundaries. We just went on a road trip, the three of us to Sedona, and we were having conversations like this. And she had made a comment previously about something like about my husband and like kind of projected something. And I was like, I really don't like it when you say those type of things about me and my husband's relationship because it's not the same. And so she's like, thank you for telling me. Like, I would have never known if you didn't tell me. So now she doesn't say things like that, but she accepts and is willing to hear me out too, even on my boundaries.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I've tried to do too. I know I'm not perfect at it, but when you do come to me with something, I try to listen first to seek to understand what it is that you're actually looking for. Do you just need a safe space to vent, or are you looking for advice? Do you want my insight? And I know, like I said, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to say, okay, do you want to hear my experience with this, or are you looking for advice? And I'm not just like throwing it at you, whether you're asking for it or not. And I know that that's something that I wish every parent-child relationship could have is like, do you just need a safe space to vent? Or are you looking for some advice or some insight from me?
Sometimes the most important part of a conversation is just being able to listen.
Yeah. I think this is something too that like whether it's conversations about relationships or marriage or just in general, like, and this goes for both, parents and children and adult children, but leading with curiosity rather than criticism. Like I'm not here to judge or fix or, any of the things, but hey, speaking to the parent, if the child's bringing something to you, get curious. What does that mean? Like, I think those have been the times that I felt the most supported from you, mom, that I know that, that's one way you create safety is I know that you're not coming to try to fix it. And because then that makes me feel like I have a problem. And then I feel like I'm back in high school and it's this weird dynamic. But when you can just say, okay, what do you need? Like, tell me what that was like for you. I think that curiosity goes a long way to create safety and, lend to these types of conversations.
I think another thing is that's really important is to have healthy repair after there's been a rupture, because I know you might be here listening to us and it might sound like we have it all together and that we never hurt each other's feelings or say things that are hurtful, but that's actually not true. We actually do still have times where we hurt each other's feelings or we cross boundaries or we do things that are hurtful to each other. And so I think one of the biggest and most important things that I really want to try to do in our family dynamic and that I want to share with other families is healthy repair after rupture. Because we're humans. We are going to say things. We are going to have conflict. We're not always going to see eye to eye. We're going to have different opinions and perspectives and experience, and that's what makes it beautiful. And it also is what can lead to ruptures and misunderstandings and hurt feelings. And so I think one of the most important things is that healthy repair after rupture, and allowing each of us to have our own opinions and beliefs. And maybe the way I raised you with my value system and my opinions and belief system doesn't align with what you believe anymore as an adult. And being okay with that, even if it's challenging for me to watch one of you, and I'm not giving any specifics here, but like if you do something that I don't think you should do, just holding my tongue and just being okay with it and allowing you the agency to make your own path and make your own choices and be there to support you no matter what. I remember when we were in the thick of everything, and I think it was Mateo right before you got married, and I was so scared for you to get married, and I was like, I just don't think anybody should ever get married. I don't think this is a good idea. We should just, and something my therapist said to me that at that time that I will never forget is she said, you know what? Your kids have their own path and your kids are going to have their own life experiences. And if they do have to go through something similar as what you're going through, who better to support them through it than you? And I've held on to that with a lot of things in life is that, you know what? Some of my greatest lessons have come from my biggest mistakes and the hardest challenges that I've had in life. And so I wouldn't want to rob you of those learning experiences by trying to manage your lives and just trusting that you are wise and you are going to, do what you follow your intuition, follow your gut.
Can I just like speak to that too as a child on the receiving end of a parent like that? Like, I've never felt like you were a helicopter mom. There were a couple times where I know that like we didn't see eye to eye and you didn't give me a lot of pushback and you let me like forge my own path. And one, like the trust that I'm like, okay, my mom trusts me to make this choice, but also like the confidence in my own ability to make a choice and to like walk the path and to say, my mom's not going to save me. She's not going to rescue. Like, I know that wasn't really who you are, but I can't blame this choice or this decision on anybody but myself. And so I think that's a huge piece too of, supporting whatever it was, our decision to get married or to start a career or to live a certain place or to timing to have kids, any of those things. And I know as a parent too, some of the clients, and even now that my kids are little, but wanting to just make everything perfect and prevent anybody from feeling anything hard. And, I think there's just a lot of power in a relationship when you can allow your kids to say, I support you and I trust you. Like, I remember that's something you told me when I was thinking about getting married and, all of the things that went into that decision for me. And that's something I think coming out of that, my mom, kind of like you said with Mateo, we did kind of go back and forth and the timing was interesting and, you didn't really know my fiance going into it and all the things. And so it was like, I think I look back at that time and the conversations you and I had leading up to that, because it was a choice that I was making that like, you probably wouldn't have made that choice for me had I given you a lot of input. But like, I look back at that and I think that's one of the times that I really learned how to trust my own ability to like make choices and receive revelation and, forge my own path. And you let me go through that, which was a huge like confidence booster for me. So I think that's also just an important piece.
Yeah. I think back on that too, like made me rethink of going to college. When I went to college, I went to Montana and I was 5.5 hours away. And back then, I'm almost 30, as my mom said, we didn't have find my iPhone or track your every movement on everything you ever did. And I'm glad we did it when I was in college, but knowing that my parents had built this foundation for me and they trusted me to go off to another state to go to college, and figure out who I wanted to be. Like I had things that I believed about myself and like standards I had set. And that's when I was like, okay, am I going to really stick to these? I decided I didn't want to do any alcohol or drugs or whatever. And I was surrounded by it. My friends always took me to parties and asked me, and I let it be known, like, no, I don't drink and I don't do this. So then my friends stood up for me. And so I had to like make a choice. And my mom wasn't a helicopter mom in high school or college like that, but just kind of like Morgan said, knowing that my mom trusted me to be there by myself and knowing that I could trust myself to make good decisions and learn for myself whether it was a good or not was probably very pivotal for me too, like to move out and to be my own person, but know that I could always still have my mom and everything that I was taught growing up too.
I I think about that even now with your upcoming potential move and your husband's career change and stuff. Like, I don't think it's a surprise to you that when you first said that, I was like, no, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea.
Not on board for a while,
Yeah,
but
but the more I
what
sat with it and
situated.
thought about it, I thought about my own like moves away from my family and stuff and how impactful that was. And I realized I was kind of just being selfish, which I still don't like it, but I trust you. And the other thing is if I make a decision for one of you and then it turns out to be a bad decision, or I force you or coerce you into making a decision that I think is right and it turns out to be bad, then it's my fault. And so I like to instill that trust in you that you can trust yourself and trust your instincts.
On that too, like you're not forcing us to do anything, but like supporting us. I feel like my mom and my sister are my biggest supporters and they encourage me to do what I want and like how my mom has kind of evolved over the last few years and is currently living in Costa Rica by herself. Like she's living her dream life right now and that's what my mom and Morgan do is they encourage me to go after my dreams and to dream big and to do when it is a good choice or if I were to flop. Like they're there to help and cheer on and be there for everything, which I love.
Yeah, I think that's where I wanted to kind of wrap it up with is that we can be each other's biggest cheerleaders. That and I want to model to you that your dreams don't die when your kids move out. Like it shifts. It's different. My goals and I used to remember when you guys were all still at home and remember dreading like what's it going to be like when we're empty nesters and we're all alone by ourselves and the kids are all off doing their own thing and I dreaded it because I didn't know what it was going to be like and I actually love it. I love that when you guys come over and I love having space to finally for the first time in my life really like figure out who I am outside of being Matea's mom and Morgan's mom and everybody else's everything. And so I love that you girls are cheering me on and I'm trying to model that for you that life doesn't end when your kids move out and also want to be your biggest cheerleaders as you are in the thick of the hard of raising kids and trying not to lose yourselves in all of that and provide opportunities and spaces for you to have some time to explore yourselves a little bit more and who you are and who you want to be. So I love that you brought
Well,
that up.
shoot, if I can live in Costa Rica like you did, well, she doesn't actually live in Costa Rica. She's just been there for too long.
I've been here for about a month and it has been fabulous, but I'm headed home tomorrow and I'm missing my kids and especially my cute little grandbabies. So I'm looking forward to returning to real life.
Yeah, but if that's what life can be like after kids, I'm all for it, man. Take me there.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Amen. Me too.
So this is kind of, I guess, where I want to wrap it up. If you are hearing us talk and you want more opportunities to have conversations like this, you can check our show notes. We're hosting for you moms out there and daughters out there. We're hosting a mother-daughter retreat coming up in a couple of weeks, and you can find more information about that in the show notes. But tune in again next week as we talk again about some things that we hope every parent can hear from their child. And so thank you so much for being here, girls. Thanks for joining me. And we'll see you all next week on the next bonus episode of this little mini series. Thank you for being here with me inside Rooted and Rising Healing. Remember, healing isn't a destination, it's a returning to your truth, to your voice, to the woman you were always meant to be. You have the power to rise at your own pace, in your own way. And when it feels hard, just come back to your breath and remind yourself, still I rise. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love if you shared it with another sister on the journey. And until next time, stay rooted, stay rising. You've got this.